I like to think of myself as a pretty actionable guy. I don't like to dwell on ideas. I like to get after it. I don't want to sit around twiddling my thumbs while I could be making moves. I'm no hustler, but I do like to get after an idea once I've got it in my mind. But despite that, I do suffer from the failure of inaction. Inaction is a universal failure. Failure itself as a whole, across the broad human spectrum, is subjective. It'll change by a case on case basis. Whatever you consider failure might not be failure in my books, and vice versa. However, what won't change on a case by case basis is the failure of inaction. I think probably everyone at some point in their life will fall victim to inaction, to planning to do something or wanting to do something, and then failing to act upon it and never realizing what could have been. And when I say inaction, I'm talking anything from failing to follow through on a test or studying for a test, sorry, to changing your eating habits, to maybe even wanting to start a business, but just never taking any sort of action to get there. These all have a common denominator. They leave the individual suffering thoughts of what if, or wondering how things could have turned out. Oh, what could my grade have been if I studied for that test a little bit longer? Or what if I quit my job and started something new? What if I ended up taking on that new job? Where would I be now? And this is the worst. This is the worst. These are the worst sorts of thoughts, because only in that hindsight do we realize how we messed up and where we went wrong. Only after the opportunity is missed do we think, oh, I should have followed through with that, or I should have taken that action. In some instances, inaction isn't absolute, of course. Some things are not time sensitive, some things aren't as opportunistic as others, and these aren't total failures, in my opinion. But in many cases, such inaction can lead to an absolute failure, and a lifelong wondering of what could have been. I don't know, lifelong might be a little extreme. It'd have to be a darn bad missed opportunity to then suffer lifelong thoughts of what if. But nonetheless, it's not impossible. With the groundwork of the idea laid out, I'm going to get into a little story time. And this is nothing I've lost sleep over. Lord knows there's not a whole lot I'd lose sleep over. Sleep is key, and please don't sacrifice it for anything. But anyways, during the midst of my what-if thoughts after this event, wondering why I hadn't taken more action and thinking on what could have been, which, like I said earlier, are the worst kind of thoughts I think one can be stuck on. Through my reflection, I realized that I didn't want to make this same mistake again, and I also realized that it's just such an easy thing to overcome. It's completely psychological. So hopefully by talking through it, it'll not only nail it into my own head, but it'll help someone else watching. And I do think this scenario is pretty common nowadays. But anyhow, as I've mentioned in videos past, I just finished my freshman year of college. And while there, naturally, I started going to the gym at the same time every day, fell into my routine. After a while, I started seeing this one girl there almost every day for a few months. And a few months go by, like I said, and I can't remember exactly when it was. It was either right before Christmas break or right after Christmas break. I finally, after much deliberation, finally got the gall and approached her. And we chatted for a second, introduced ourselves. I saw her pretty frequently, so I really wasn't in a rush to get her number then and there, at least at the time. That's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, well, probably going to see her again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. So I'm not going to rush and just immediately ask for her number. Kind of let it slow burn. But, lo and behold, that initial introduction was the last solid interaction we had. I mean, we chatted a couple times after that, and I still saw her regularly, but I failed to take any further tangible action. I never ended up getting her number. I never ended up getting to know her. on a deeper level than I basically treat her like a gym bro. I'm not gonna lie. You know those guys in the gym who you might forget their names, so you just call them bro, and you're always dapping them up. Chat for a sec. Yo, dude, what you hitting? Shit like that. Pardon my French. It's one of those things where if you think too hard about what to say or what to talk about, then you'll just mentally roadblock yourself. And that's exactly what happened going forward. The day I actually approached her, I didn't think I didn't think about what I was gonna say at all. I just walked up to her. And I mean at some point or another your brain's gonna shoot something out. You can't just stand there all quiet and creepy like. Yeah, this guy approached me at the gym and he just sort of looked at me. Jokes aside, that first day I was not nervous. I didn't fear the interaction going bad. And most importantly, I didn't rationalize every possible outcome. Especially didn't rationalize any bad outcomes. I just, simple as, took action. And this is exactly why I think inaction is one of the worst failures. But why it should also be the easiest to overcome. It's entirely psychological. Just to reiterate, once again, and really nail it in, the day I introduced myself to her, I wasn't thinking about what she might think of me. I wasn't thinking about what to say. I wasn't overthinking anything. I just focused on being present and being actionable. And that was great. It went well. It's just what happened thereafter that didn't go as well. Every time I saw her from then on, I got way too caught up overthinking, to the point where I just eventually gave up any intent of getting to know her. Which, I mean, it's no great loss. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna still mark it as a failure. All sorts of thoughts would crowd my action. The classic one was, oh, I just don't want to interrupt her workout. Which I do think is a semi-valid thought, because I don't personally like when people come up to me and interrupt my workout. But looking back, it's not a concrete reason to have never approached her again. There's actually a quote in Lonesome Dove that was the entire exigence of this video, and it reads, "Things that seemed impossible only became so if one thought about it so much that fear took over." This is exactly what happened with this girl. This quote got me thinking about how I fumbled, thinking about how things could have turned out had I just stopped thinking so hard and been more actionable. I mean, I got my foot in the door that first time. I just failed to open it. And this idea as a whole goes well beyond just approaching women. Throughout this video, I've made the claim that inaction should be easy to overcome. But how can we overcome something that is easy to fall victim to? Well, as I said before, inaction is entirely psychological. More often than not, we don't act on something, generally due to negative thoughts, or in some cases even over-planning. The first thing to do is to get started, even if it's the smallest way possible. You don't always have to jump into a project or quit everything to pursue your dreams. Just start small, without thinking too much about the outcomes. Get your foot in the door. But, unlike me, you need to open the door. You need to continue to pursue it. You can't stop where you start. But I will maintain that, generally speaking, starting small is a great way to get started on projects or on your dreams. There's something about starting small that tricks your subconscious mind into returning on whatever it is you're working towards. Another pretty easy tip is just having realistic goals. It's absolutely fine to shoot for the stars, please do. But when you're starting off, just shoot for the ceiling. You don't gotta immediately jump to the extremes. Alongside that, I think maintaining a level of detachment to outcomes is also crucial. This would have helped me especially in my getting to know that gym girl. And it's low-key so chudded out, but I fumbled because I was too attached to my image. Part of my overthinking was making a fool of myself somehow, or imagining I would. And my subconscious mind thought that taking no action was the best way to avoid that, but in reflection, bro, I made a fool of myself by not following up with her. I've been spending a lot of time the past couple months working on what I call psychological control. And this is the most beneficial for battling inaction. This is the last little bit of advice I'm gonna leave you with. What I call psychological control is really just mastering your subconscious mind and developing the habit of shutting out or even shutting down overthinking as a whole. And it's really simple, as I've been saying. Anytime I'm faced with the thought of putting off some little daily task, I just take that thought as an indicator to get up and immediately do it, as sort of like a signal, and that's the solution. The only way you'll beat inaction is by taking action. I'm a big advocate of pondering. You'll know this if you've watched my past videos. But as soon as you're met with those thoughts of inaction or overthinking, though they may try to inhibit you, you just need to use them as sort of a signal to get up and act. That's all there is to it. And I don't know the neuroscience behind it. I don't know. I can't cite a source for you. But believe me when I say that over the past few months, being more mindful of overthinking and thoughts of procrastination when it comes to different tasks, getting up and just doing them has gotten dramatically easier. And I imagine this will lead off into other areas where inaction may take over, where thoughts of overthinking may lead you to never get anything done. Now, of course, I don't know how well this psychological control will work as far as approaching women is concerned, but I sure have learned that thinking too hard about an approach is not the move. You'll never accomplish anything if all you can do is think about how you're going to do it. She was the first woman I truly cold approached, so I consider that at least a fall forward. Nonetheless, I don't want to suffer that same failure again. I'd rather have asked for her number and been rejected than to have sat on my hands like I did. With goals and projects, be rational, be realistic, and start small. With women, don't think, be normal, and start small. But, I mean, really, that's all I got on this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope this helped. Take some action. And until next time, take care.